Because they always give us this image, right? But yet it just said that his head and his hair were white like wool. So is that woolly hair? So who has more of a woolly textured hair? Our people, right? So that's strike one. Go ahead.
And as white as snow.
So this is strike two because it's either a brown, a blonde, or a black. But yet he said white as snow. Go ahead.
And his eyes.
And his what?
And his eyes.
So now we're finna get into the color or the phenotype of his eyes, because they always give us a blonde or a brown. Go ahead.
His eyes were as a flame of fire.
Right?
And his feet.
And his feet, because if you took off your Crocs, right, the top of your feet should probably be an indication of the rest of the color of your body. Go ahead, King.
And his feet like unto fine brass.
Right, so do you know the color of brass? Brown, right? But let's see how brown of a man he was.
As if they burn in a furnace.
As what?
As if they burn in a furnace.
And you know if you put anything in a furnace and burned it, what color would it come out? So he's a very dark man. So when the skies crack and the Messiah come down, right, it's not going to be who everybody think it is. So that's why on our sign it says the great delusion.
Right.
Because he's going to come down, and he said there's going to be two, and the first one, people are going to be fooled because they're going to be thinking that it's him, and it's not going to be him. Right? Keep going though, watch this.
And his voice as the sound of many waters.
So if we went to Niagara Falls, right, that's many waters. How do you think it'll sound? Would it be quiet? Would it be, because when we be out here teaching, sometimes when, you know, we be getting into it in the spirit flow, and then we be loud, people be like, oh, well, why is y'all yelling? Well, he said that Christ had the voice of many waters. So that means that when he was out teaching the word, he wasn't teaching quiet. He wasn't coming like, come here, little kids, listen to what the Father said. No, he was talking with authority. He was letting you know what thus said the Father. And if you didn't listen, that you're going to get punished. You're going to get done in. Right? So let's go to Galatians chapter 5 and verse 26. Because now that's one stronghold of how the Father looked. Now we're going to get to another stronghold. Another stronghold is, what do they say the motherland is? Africa, right? So now we're finna go ahead and break that stronghold. And then give me John chapter 11 and verse 9. I'm sorry, Mark 11, no, John 11 and 9. Let's start at verse 1. Go ahead, King. 5 and 26. No, Jerusalem, which is above, is free.
4 and 26. Galatians.
4 and 26, sorry.
Yeah.
Come.
The book of
Come.
The book of Galatians, chapter 4, verse 26.
Bring it out.
But Jerusalem.
But what?
But Jerusalem.
But what?
But Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
Which is above is free, which is the mother of us all.
No, Africa is.
Which is the mother of us all.
So civilization, or life as we know it today, was actually created in Jerusalem. Now they did kind of get it a little bit right, because if you look at the map of Africa, right, the upper Fertile Crescent, which is at the corner side of Africa, that's where Israel is actually, located. So that's why they say on the Africa continent. It's kind of not off, it's kind of off to the side, but that's why they say Mother Africa, but it's actually Jerusalem is the location, right? So all life started in Jerusalem, right? So then that's another stronghold. So how many hours is in a day? How many hours is in a day? 24? All right, so we're going to break that stronghold, right? Because the Most High also gave us how many hours in a day? Go ahead, you could jump down to verse 4.
4. This is the book of John, chapter 11, verse 4. When Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God.
For what?
For the glory of God.
Because sometimes the Most High do things just so he can be glorified, right? Sometimes he'll do a miracle just so you could be like, dang, only God could have done that, right? Sometimes he does that, because everybody has a misconception of God. They think he's just this loving guy that he loves everybody and he cares for everybody, right? But if somebody killed your son, are you going to let them stay the night the next night? Somebody killed your son or did your son wrong, are you going to hug him and say, it's okay? You're just going to forget about it, going to pay all their bills and be all right with it? So then why would people think that if a nation of people killed God's son, that he's going to be okay with it? Right? And that's not true. Right? Go ahead.
That the Son of God might be glorified thereby.
Go ahead.
Now Jesus loved Martha her sister,
Right.
and Lazarus.
Yep, go ahead.
When he had heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abroad 2 days still in the same place where he was.
Now this account is they was talking about Lazarus, right? Because Jesus really loved Lazarus. But it was like Lazarus was sick unto death. So if you love somebody and you know they were sick to death, would you take your time to get there, or would you get there expedient? Expedient, right? But Jesus took his time, right? So you got to understand what I had told you before, that sometimes God sends his servants out, or his servants out to do stuff so that his name will be magnified. So that's why Jesus is actually taking his time, because the name of God is going to be magnified. Go ahead.
Then after that said he to his disciples, let us go into Judea again.
Go ahead.
His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of the late sought to stone thee.
Right, and this is a good point too, because they was going to kill him. So sometimes you got to understand, you got to do God's will no matter what. So even if you know that somebody's trying to kill you, right, because they may not believe in the Bible, or they may not believe in certain things, right, you still got to do it, because why? Because you got to do the will of God. So he still got to go, even though people sought to kill him. Go ahead.
And goest thou thither again? Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in a day?
No, it's 24, brother.
Are there not 12 hours in a day?
Go ahead.
If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of the world,
right,
of this world.
So they tell you that it's 24 hours, but literally during the day it's only 12. So literally that goes into the next point, because today is the Sabbath day, right? Have you ever heard of the Sabbath day? So first of all, before we get into all that, what's your nationality according to the Bible? Right, I just wanted to break some strongholds and let you know that this world have taught us wrong. That was my whole point of showing you those accounts. So now that you know this world have taught you wrong, now are you going to begin to question some of the things that the world have taught you? Right? All praises, sister. So now, according to this world, what would be the nationality of your father if he had to sign an application for a job? African American, right? So if I told you that African American was 2 Europeans, right? Cornelius Scipio Africanus, which is a general in the Roman army, and Amerigo Vespucci, which is an Italian map maker, right? Could I then ask you, would you be the descendant of 2 Europeans? Would you be? Are you from 2 Europeans? No, right? So then there would be no way that you could be an African American, right? So then now your next question should be then, so who am I? Because now that's another stronghold broke down, right? So give me the book of Psalms chapter 49 and verse 11. Because I want to show you where these names originate from. The Bible is our heritage book. It tells us everything in truth about any question that you need to answer. Right? 49 and 11. Watch this.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 49, verse 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever.
Right? So the inward thought of all the powers to be that rule this earth, their thought is that their houses are going to be forever. Right? Go ahead.
And their dwelling places to all generations.
And they're going to dwell forever. They're going to rule wherever they're at forever. Right? There's not going to be an end to whatever they do. Go ahead, King.
They call their lands after their own names.
What did he just say?
They call their lands after their own names.
Who is Cornelius Scipio Africanus and Amerigo Vespucci?
They call their names after their own names.
So they called their lands after their own names. Now they got us calling our nationality based on the landmass. Which a landmass cannot determine your nationality, right? Because if a Chinese was born in America, wouldn't they still be a Chinese with American nationality of American? It wouldn't change their nationality, right? It would just change their citizenship. That's the word I was looking for. So their citizenship would just be American, but they still would be Chinese. Right. So how is it that our nationality changed by the landmass win? You see what I'm saying? So now we're going to show you who you are based on the Bible, right? Because the Bible shows our people who they are, right? Give me the book of Deuteronomy 7-6, right? Because Deuteronomy 7-6, when you get to the book of Deuteronomy, you always have one speaker, which is Moses, and you have one audience, which is the children of Israel. So anything that's referenced in Deuteronomy, it's always that chronological order of Moses the speaker and Israel the message. Right? The people listen to the message. Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
So holy just means set apart, not holy, right? So we are set apart. The Israelites are a set apart people. Go ahead.
The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people.
I thought everybody was equal.
Above all people.
I thought everybody was one people.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So God said that the Israelites were above all people. So let's get to Deuteronomy. Let's get to the point. Give me Judah chapter 5 verse 11. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 15, 28 verse 15. But we don't get to the point because it looked like the weather trying to act crazy real quick. Right? We'll get to the point because if this happened to the Israelites, right, but then it happened to our forefathers, we're going to see if that will make us our forefathers' descendants. Right? Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15.
Go ahead.
But it shall come to
So
pass,
it's going to happen. Go ahead.
if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy
If
God,
we don't listen to him, go ahead.
to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day,
Go ahead.
that all these curses,
All these good things.
that all these curses,
All these great things.
that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So is a curse a good or bad thing? Bad. So let's hear the first curse.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
So when he said, curse shall thou be in the city, you got to get that right there. It's tied together. And curse shall thou be in the field. Right? So in the city, who's cursed? Who has the worst living conditions? Who goes through the worst thing? Who got to worry about if they're getting pulled over on a routine traffic stop? Right? But also, if you look at this sign, right, do all these people seem to be a cursed people wherever they're living at, wherever they reside? Right? So these are cursed people in the city. And where else he say?
Cursed thou be in the field.
And cursed shall thou be in the field, the literal field, the cotton field, the tobacco field, the work field, the first fired and the last hired. Right? Right? Go to verse 54. Watch this, sister.
Verse 54, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate,
Because we used to be real delicate. We used to be real loving to each other. Go ahead, King.
his eye shall be evil toward his brother.
So don't that sound like black on black crime? What about Hispanic on Hispanic crime? That sound like that? How about Native American on a Native American crime? Sound like that, don't it? Go ahead, King.
And toward the wife of his bosom.
Right, because we lead, if you look it up, we lead in domestic violence cases. Right, so we're going to be evil eye towards his wife of his bosom. Go ahead.
And toward the remnant of his children.
And towards what?
And toward the remnant of his
What's
children,
going to happen?
which he shall lead.
No, my dad was in my life.
Which he shall lead.
So we have the highest rate of two-parent families.
Which he shall lead.
Sister, how many families are raised with their father and their mother in the house of our nation? Right? But the Most High said that this is going to happen to the Israelites. This is a curse that only happened to the Israelites. That's mighty, ain't it? Let's go to 45. Look like the Most High kind of letting up on it. Go ahead.
Verse 45. Moreover, all these curses,
All these blessings.
all these curses
Go ahead.
shall come upon thee,
Like this.
and shall pursue thee,
Go ahead.
and overtake thee till thou be destroyed.
And it ain't a physical destroy, right? Because they're still, everybody's still here. But it's to destroy to the point to where you don't know who you are. So now you're calling yourself so-called black, which is a Quran color, right? So-called savage, which is a Native American or Indian, right? You're calling yourself Puerto Rican, which is a rich port when you look it up, right? But how can you be a rich port when a port is just a waterway for ships? That's just destroyed, man. Right? When you saying you're Spanish, you're saying that your property is Spain. How are you all these terms? Those aren't even a nationality, right? So these are the things that they're saying. So you're destroyed mentally to where you don't know who you are as a people. Go ahead, King.
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
So you ain't listening to the Lord God. Go ahead.
to keep his
No,
commandments.
we ain't got to keep them.
To keep his commandments.
There's only 10.
To keep his commandments
Go ahead.
and his statutes, which he commanded thee, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
Right? So if I ask you, where is Subway at? What building would you point to that Subway is? How do you know that that building's Subway? Because how did you know? What indicates that that building is Subway? That sign, right? So God is telling you that if you want to ever know who the Israelites, God's chosen people are, the one that's above all people, All you got to go to the Deuteronomy 28 and read all the way down. From 15 to 68 are the curses that identify the Israelites. Right? The ones that are going to have a single parent family. The one that's going to be cursed in the city and cursed in the field. Right? The one that's going to have the problem that the husband and the wife is not going to live in the same house and raise their child. Right? The one that this will be on there for a sign and for a wonder. So if you wonder who the Israelites are, these curses will identify them. Keep going.
And upon thy seed forever.
Forever, right? So these curses are going to be on every generation of seed, no matter how long. Right? Keep going one more. Watch this.
Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness.
So we ain't serve him. No matter what happened in our life, we didn't serve him and say, thank you, Lord. Thank you for taking my house from me. Thank you for you taking my car from me. Thank you for you letting me go through all these hard times. Right? We didn't thank him for the joyfulness of all things. Go ahead.
And with gladness of heart.
Go ahead.
For the abundance of all things.
For the abundance of all things. You can stop it right there, right? Go jump down to 68. Watch this.
Verse 68.
This is the point, right? Because this only happened to the Israelites. If you go into any history point, no matter what nation you go into, if you go into it, this right here curse only fits one nation of people. Right? But yet people don't know that all these people went through the same curse though. They only know for one nation of people.
That's right.
But go ahead and bring it out, King.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Right? So Egypt means something in the Bible. Right? What were the children of Israel doing in Egypt? What were they doing? Do you know? Okay, go ahead. That was a great answer, sister. Right, go ahead, King.
The book of Judith, chapter 5, verse 11. Therefore, the king of Egypt rose up against them and dealt subtly with them and brought them low with laboring in brick and made them slaves.
And did what?
And made them slaves.
Right, so Egypt is synonymous for slavery. Right, because have you ever wondered, have you ever in your life wondered on the back of a dollar bill, right? You saw the back of a dollar bill many a times, right? Have you ever wondered why was there ever a pyramid on the back? Because you saw it, right? You saw the pyramid? I don't even know my dollar. So, you got one? I got one here too. So, on the back of the dollar bill, there's a pyramid, right? And it's because it's synonymous with Egypt.
There you go.
Right? So, on the back of a dollar bill, there's a pyramid, right? Right? So, they know that it's synonymous for slavery. Right? So, that is a lot of correlation. Right? The above, the elites, they know what's going on. Right? So Egypt is synonymous with slavery. So this is a 4,000-year prophecy that God had let us know. It was over 2,000 years up to the point when it happened. So we're going to put slavery and bondage in place of Egypt, and watch how this prophecy reads.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into bondage, slavery again with ships.
With planes.
With ships.
With kayaks.
With ships.
What nation of people went into slavery on ships? Right. Have you ever heard that before? Right? That's crazy, ain't it? How many times you'd have been to church? How many pastors, how many preachers, how many elders and bishops have ever done brought it out? And they've never told us this prophecy. Right? That's crazy. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
He said only the Israelites going to go into slavery by ships, by the way God prophesied it to happen. Go ahead.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
And he's talking about your homeland as well as the physical Egypt. Because if they walked out of Egypt on land, how can you take a ship back to a place that you can walk from and there's no ocean or no sea in the middle of? So you know that this is a prophecy that wasn't involving Egypt. So somewhere else was actually known as Egypt, right? And it's America, right? Give me the book of Revelations 11 and 9, right? Because America is known as Egypt, right? Go ahead, keep reading.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
And their homeland in Egypt, right? Because we told you where the motherland is, right? The motherland is where? No, remember, it start with a J. Jerusalem, right? So that's the motherland. That's our motherland. Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold.
So when we got off those slave ships, who were we sold to, sister? The white people,
that's right?
But let's see who God called them.
Unto your enemies.
And now you see the reason why spiritually he made them our enemies. And now when we get pulled over for routine traffic stops, that's why we go through what we go through, right? Because they don't even know. Some of them don't even know why they do what they do. Right. It's just that's the way that the Most High designed their spirit to hate us, right? To not like us, to abhor us, to hate us, and to do whatever they wanted to do, because a friend's not going to do that to you. Right, keep going.
For bondmen,
For slave men,
and bondwomen,
and bondwoman.
and no man shall buy you.
And the Hebrew word for buy is redeem, right? Because nobody's going to redeem us but the Messiah, right? Which everybody knows Jesus Christ, but his name is Yahweh Shai. Can you say Yahweh Shai? So
There
that's
you go.
Jesus' Hebrew name. Because how in the heck can a man that outlived his name? Like, he was older than his name.
That's right.
The letter J is only 500 years old, but he lived over 2,000 years ago. So how can he be called Jesus and that letter wasn't even invented? So then now we have to start breaking these strongholds
That's
and
right.
finding out, like, what are the truth of this Bible?
That's right.
Right? Go ahead and bring that out.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 11, verse 9. And they of the people,
8. I'm sorry.
verse
sorry.
8, and their dead bodies,
And their what?
And their dead bodies
Go ahead.
shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Sodom and Egypt, right? Because what did Obama legalize that was major, that no other president ever did? And when he did it, it actually is abomination of the Most High, but yet, you know what I'm saying, it's a legal thing now and it happens everywhere. What is he most known for? Did he do something for the so-called blacks? No, I'm talking about, did he do anything for the so-called blacks? No, did he? He didn't. But what did he do? What can you remember the monumental thing that Obama did for the nation? What did he do in this nation? What did he legalize that never had been legal before? What'd you say? No, because he's actually African. He's an African. Do you recall, what do churches have to do now? Same-sex marriage. Yeah, have to marry. So Obama is actually really well known for same-sex marriage, right? So reread that now, understanding that now, and think about what he said. Because do you know what happened in Sodom? So Sodom was a place in the Bible that God destroyed. Still to this day, they're destroyed.
All right.
Nothing can grow there. Actually, they said when they go there, it's actually so full of sulfur to where if you light a match or a lighter, it'll actually erupt in flames. Because God destroyed that place with brimstone and fire. Right? So he destroyed that place, but he destroyed it because of homosexuality.
That's right.
See what I'm saying? And pedophilia. So that's why I brought that out about Obama. So now you know that Sodom and Gomorrah was known for homosexuality. Right. Now keep that in mind when you read this verse again.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
It's known as what?
Sodom and Egypt.
Sodom and Egypt, right? So Sodom is actually a place of homosexuality. So this place is known as Sodom and Egypt. So that's why they got the pyramid on the back. So I have a question for you. So if the slavery happened to the Israelites, the prophecy was for the Israelites, but yet our forefathers went into slavery on slave ships, then who would that make us according to the Bible? So if slavery on slave ships happened to the Israelites, God said the Israelites were going to slavery for not keeping the law, statutes, commandments. But yet our forefathers went to slavery on a slave ship. Then who would that make us according to the Bible? Okay, because remember when I asked you, is black a nationality? Is black a nationality? No, because it's a crayon color, right? You're not the same color as your pants and your shirt, right? So then when I say African American, right? That's Amerigo Vespucci and Scipio Africanus, right? A Roman general and an Italian map maker, right? So those are two Europeans. So then would that be our nationality? So then if those are not our nationality, but then God said that he was going to send the Israelites to a place called Egypt on slave ships, and we know America is known as Egypt, right? And our forefathers went to slavery on a slave ship. Then who would that make us as far as our nationality? Let's go ahead and say it. Yeah, but
I'm gonna read it.
Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God was 1 and 1. Oh, okay. Slakia, sorry. Deuteronomy 1 and 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan in the wilderness.
So who was he speaking to? Moses, when we were reading those curses. Yet the Israelite. So who would that make us though? If they went to slavery on a slave ship and we went to slavery on a slave ship? Who would that make us? You just said it. Yeah, but who would that make us? What name though? What nation did he? Israel.
There you go.
There you go. He was like, I just wanted you to be sure with it. So we will be Israel, and the reason why is because of those curses. That's like he said, the curses is the sign for you to identify who Israel is, right? Right? So these curses are the sign. Now I'm going to go into another one, right? Go to 28 and verse 48. Watch this. Because watch what we said was going to happen to the Israelites.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. And it reads, Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
Go ahead, this is the point right here.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
He said, God said that your enemy, which we said, the one that when you get sold, when you get off those ships, you'll be sold to your enemy. So the so-called white man put a what upon our neck when we got off those ships? Yep, the yoke of iron, right? So he said that this prophecy said he put what?
A yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Right, and he have destroyed thee. Give me Jeremiah 17 and 4. And this is how we said you were destroyed, right? Because we don't know who we are as a nation, right? Watch this. Because this is crazy, man. Like these prophecies happened. He said it was going to happen to Israel. And now we don't know who we are. We call ourselves a color of a crayon. We calling ourselves two Europeans. We call ourselves after a hairstyle, Afro-American. Like, it's just crazy how destroyed we are, right? And now we're ADOS, American descendants of slavery, right? That's crazy. Go ahead, King.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
So God gave every nation of people a heritage, right? But yet, if I ask you, what is our heritage? What would you tell me? What's our heritage? Like, in our heritage, what do we do? What are some of our traditions? What are some of the things that we eat? What is the way we dress? What kind of law do we have? Because China got a heritage, right? They kill any other woman after their firstborn daughter they can't keep. That's their heritage. You can keep all your men, and you only can keep one daughter. That's their heritage, right? Buddhists, they go up, some of their men become monks, right? That's their heritage, right? Kung Fu is Chinese heritage, right? Every nation has a heritage. But if I ask you, the so-called blacks, what are their heritage? What is their heritage? What are some of the things they do? What do they do for their I'll say holidays just for the purpose of edification? What are their holidays? What are some of their traditions that they keep? What are those things? You see what I'm saying? Do you know? What's some of the holidays that we keep? Right? But is that our heritage? No, it's a pagan feast.
That's right.
Right? So what's some of the other ones we keep? What's the Independence Day one? 4th of July. But was that our independence? That was actually the beginning of slavery.
That's right.
But we celebrate it though. See how destroyed we are? So what is our heritage? See? Go ahead.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
So now we serving our enemies. Just like he had just brought out in the want of all things. Go ahead.
In the land which thou knowest not.
Did we know this land? Because it said our homeland is where? No, Jerusalem, right? So we don't know this land.
That's right.
But we serving our enemy. And we know we serving our enemy because he said our enemy was going to buy us off the slave ships.
That's
Go
right.
ahead.
For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger.
So because this is all happening because we kindled a fire in God's anger. And how long will it last?
Which shall burn forever.
And it's going to burn forever. Not a literal forever, but until we come back to the law, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
You had a precept?
Con.
Go ahead.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 17, verse 11. Beside this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for a heritage.
The law of life for a heritage, right? So he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments for our heritage, right? So now that you know you Israel, right? Give me Deuteronomy 10 and 12, and then we're going to give you a couple commandments, and then I know you got to go. But sister, reach out to us, right? We got sisters in the congregation, right? They've all came back to their heritage, right? What was one thing that you see on them? As he's reading this, think about what you see on the sisters that you don't have. And that's some of our heritage. Go ahead, King.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10, verse 12. And now Israel.
And now what?
And now Israel.
Right? And what nation are you from now? Israel. All praises, sister.
All praises.
Right? So now you know he's talking to you. This Bible is written by us, for us.
That's right.
Not for everybody. Right? So we have to get the inclusion out of our mind.
That's right. King?
What doth the Lord thy God require of thee?
Right? Because in order for God to choose you out of all the nations, wouldn't you think it'd be some kind of requirement? Exactly. So go ahead. Let's see some of the requirements.
But to fear the Lord thy God.
To do what?
But to fear the Lord thy God.
Do you know how to fear God? How do you fear God? Psalms 111 and 10. Yeah, how do you fear God? Right? All right, we're going to get that. Keep reading.
To walk in all his ways.
Right?
And to love him.
And to what?
And to love him.
Right? And to love him. Right? Do you know how to love God? How you love him? By what? Okay, that's a good answer.
That's a real good answer.
But we're going to see what the Bible says about it. Keep going.
And to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. To keep the commandments of the Lord.
To do what?
To keep the commandments of the Lord.
I ain't got to keep the commandments.
To keep the commandments of the Lord.
And his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
For who good?
For thy good.
No, I ain't got to do it.
For thy good.
So he's saying you got to keep the commandments for your good, sister. Right? So now we're going to find out what the fear of the Lord is. Then we're going to show you what the love of God is. Right? Go ahead and bring it out, King.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 111 and verse 10.
Bring it out.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
What did he say?
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Right, hold up. See, somebody getting judged right now.
Death to America.
Go ahead and I'll start from the beginning.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 111 and verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
So the beginning of wisdom is what? Right? And go ahead.
A good understanding have all they that do his commandments.
That do what?
That do his commandments.
So what is the fear of the Lord? To do his commandments, right? Right? For your what? For your good, right? All praises, sister. Now we're going to go into the love of God, right?
This is the book of 1 John, chapter 5, verse 3. For this is the love of God.
For this is the love of God.
That we keep his commandments.
No, they've been done away with.
That we keep his commandments.
No, I ain't got to do them. It's on your grade too.
That we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous.
And grievous just means hard, right? His commandments are not hard. Because how many commandments do you know there is? 10, right? They told us 10. We stick with the 10, right? How about if I told you 613? Right? Because I'm going to show you something that's not stated in the 10, so then you know that there's more than 10. Now I'm going to show you what's good. Go ahead. What is it? 14. Don't drop that. I have to think of it again. So now we know that the love of God is keeping the commandments, and then we also know that the fear of Him is keeping the commandments, and we know keeping the commandments is for your own good, right? So now we're going to give you a few of the commandments so that you know what our heritage is. So now going back to that question I asked you before we actually started all this, teaching what the love and the fear is. What do you see on the sisters that they have on that you don't have on? A hair wrap, that's one. That's good. Skirts, right? That's two. What else you see? Jewelry, I mean, but you got jewelry on too. That's actually, that's our heritage too, though. Right? That's why we always like to stay fly. Right? But what do you see at the edge of their garments that's different, that you see on the edge of our garments? The fringes, right? Yep. So that's actually our commandment. Right? Go ahead and bring that out.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 15, verse 37. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them.
And do what?
And bid them.
He said, plead with them. You know what I'm saying? Let them understand that, look, you have to do what I'm telling you. Go ahead.
That they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations.
How long?
Throughout the generations.
How long?
Throughout the generations.
Right? So is we still generating? Right? So does that mean you think we still got to keep that commandment? See, and that's not in the 10, is it? Right, go ahead.
And that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue.
Right, a what?
A ribbon of blue.
So if you look at all the brothers, right, they got all different color kind of fringes. The sisters got all different color kind of fringes. But at the end of the day, though, all of us got the ribbon of blue. You know, some of us got the light blue. He got a darker blue. She got a darker blue. The brother got a light thin blue, darker blue, yellow, gold, black, white fringes. I mean, you could do any fringes because you know how we get down. We look stylish, we look good.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, we still have to be obedient to the Most High Word.
That's right.
Right, so we got to have fringes, any color, and the ribbon of blue as long as any color blue. Go ahead, King.
And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord.
Some of the commandments.
Remember all the commandments of the Lord.
So we got to do it to remember all the commandments of the Lord. Go ahead.
And do them.
And do what?
And do them.
Go ahead.
And that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you used to go a whoring.
Right, because we used to do all kind of manners of things. We doing all kind of religions.
Right.
God didn't even make religions.
That's right.
He gave us a heritage.
That's right.
Right, this is our way of life.
That's right.
This is our heritage book and our history book.
Teach out.
This tells you about our forefathers as well as our dietary law, as well as our civil law, how we're supposed to treat each other. Right, this tells us our dress law, how we're supposed to dress. It gives our festival days. It gives our high holy days. Right, this gives us all. Go ahead, King.
That ye may remember and do all my commandments.
Some of the commandments.
To do all my commandments.
No matter where you go, he's going to always talk about commandments. No matter where you go in the Bible, from the beginning to the end. Go ahead.
And be holy unto your God.
To be set apart. Holy don't mean, like I said, all that other stuff. It just means to be set apart. Because we're set apart people. Even though we at the bottom, don't everybody want to be like us? They want to talk like us.
That's right.
Like they want to be us, right?
That's right.
But why would they want to do that, though? Because we're the salt of the earth.
That's right.
Right? Go ahead.
I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God.
Right? And so, now going back to how the sisters are dressed, right? The reason why they wear dresses, right? Because first of all, we ain't even got this picture out here. So if you was going to the bathroom, right? And you could not read, but you had to take a look at the pictographs, which bathroom would you go into? What would the pictogram look like? Which sign? Which pictogram would you go into? But which one has the, how would you know which pictogram would be the female and the male if you couldn't read? By the what? And what kind of clothes is the one? The skirt, right? And do you know the reason why women are supposed to wear a skirt? Because y'all have a cavity. And that's the reason why women have yeast infections, because when you close it off, it doesn't breathe, right? So, and that causes bacteria, because we know that moisture breeds bacteria and mold, right? And so that's all it's doing, is just a form of bacteria, right? And that's the reason why y'all supposed to wear dresses, so that cavity can breathe. But the Most High spoke on it. Don't take my word for it, right? He said for Israel. He don't care about all the other nations.
That's right.
He only care about Israel. Go ahead.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 5.
I got it.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
So he said a woman must not wear that which pertaineth unto man. But you see, it goes back to the truth of this land I was telling you. Look at that sign. Look at that sign. Where is it at? Right there with old Medea. Look at that, man.
Madness.
That's just crazy, man.
Madness.
That's just wicked. That's wicked, man. Confusion. We raising, the world have our children being raised underneath these conditions, to where our children can't even tell the difference. You got dang 2 men in the house, brother. You got 2 women in the house, brother. What kind of madness is that? There's no balance. The Most High always deal with balance. You got the sun. What's the opposite of the sun? No, I'm talking about what's the opposite of the sun? Go ahead. You know what the opposite of the sun is. You got the sun, and then what's the opposite of the sun? Start with an M. The moon. You got day. What's the opposite of the day? Night, right? You got man. What's the opposite of man? So how is it that a civilization is going to live and you got 2 men?
Madness.
How you going to procreate? You hate your people. If there's 2 women being in a relationship together, how you going to procreate? You hate your nation. You see what I'm saying? Don't you? You hate them. Because how could you say you don't hate your nation, but yet you're not going to continue to make your nation? Right? Keep going, King. Watch this. Because there's something even more wicked than that. Go ahead.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
What did he just say?
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
It's the fashion today. I'm going to do that, brother.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
For what did he say?
For all that do so.
For what?
For all that do so.
No, I can choose, brother. It's my life, my choice.
For all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God.
He said it's an abomination, man. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. What is it, 15, 17? The Lord hate abominations? Sirach 15, 17? Go ahead, bring that out. Watch this. This is how God feel about abominations, man, because we got to understand these things, man. In order for us to understand God is not all love, we got to understand that he has things that he loves and he has things he hates.
That's right.
And you got to deal with that thing, man. Because that's just off to say that he loves everything.
All right.
Because do you love everything? Are you okay with everything? So how would God that made us to be his special people just love everything? So he loves that his son just got killed by a nation of people. That makes no sense. Go ahead, bring that out, King.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 15, verse 13. The Lord hated all abomination.
No, he loves everything.
The Lord hated all abomination.
The Lord just delighted to do any and everything, brother.
The Lord hated all abomination.
And what else?
And they that fear God love it not.
And we know what the fear of God is. We told you what the fear of God is. So if you fear God and keeping his commandments, then you're going to keep the commandment of wearing a dress.
That's right.
Right, and not pants. You're going to keep the commandment of the head wrap, which bro going to bring out. And it's only when you're hearing the word or you're praying, right? Because it's just respect, right? You want to go ahead and bring it out? I know you've been holding it, right? Because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? It's not our words. You know what I'm saying? It's the words of the Most High.
Right.
You was already there, Tim. You
I was
going to the
yeah, the one that, you know.
Oh, well, go ahead, you can bring that out.
All right. So this is the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 2 and verse 9. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sorority, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array.
Right, and he's talking about don't let like your jewelry or the way you dress or the way, you know what I'm saying, like earrings, all that. Don't let that define you as a woman. But go ahead, show what should define her.
But which becometh woman possessing godliness.
Which possessing what?
Possessing godliness.
Right, and godliness is keeping the law, statutes, commandments. Right, go ahead.
With good works.
With what?
With good works.
Right, and good works. Hey, we already know what that is. Go ahead.
Let the woman learn in silence, right, with all subjection.
Right, and look, and a lot of people get this misconstrued, right? A lot of people say, oh, well, your woman just can't say. No, that's not what he's saying. Right, because God put into our women great things to say.
That's right.
Right? No, what he's saying though is that if your husband tell you something that's scriptural, then you should honor it because it's not him that's talking. It's the Most High that's talking through him.
That's right.
Because God's not coming down off his throne. Let's just be real.
That's right.
If a CEO of a major company, you think he's going to come down and tell you to do your job on the low end, to sweep up your mess after you get done? No, he's not going to do that. He put people in place that's going to do that. Supervisors and assistant supervisors and things of that nature, right, to do those type of low-end jobs, right? So go ahead.
But I suffer not a woman to teach.
Right, and now this going into dang all these churches that got all these women pastors, right? He ain't suffering them to teach. Why ain't he suffering them to teach?
Nor to usurp authority over the man.
Go ahead.
But to be in silence.
But to be in what?
To be in silence.
Go ahead.
For Adam was first formed, then Eve.
Go ahead.
And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
Right, because we all know that Eve was the first one that got deceived, beguiled by the serpent, right? And then ended up transgressing the law, right? So that's the reason why he don't want the woman, because sometimes y'all go off of emotions and not off of logical thinking, right? So now he gonna go. You already got it? He got it already.
Okay.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man.
What did he say?
And the head of the woman is the man.
And right, and what's been happening in this earth, right, is the earth that ended up getting out of whack. Because now they got all kind of, you can be what you want to be. You don't need him. Be a strong black woman. But let me ask you a question. What other nation of people do they say be strong and be what you are? Do they say be a strong white woman? Have you ever heard that term? Be a strong Chinese woman. Be a strong Indian woman. You don't hear them terms. Why have you? So now you got to start breaking these strong zones and think, why do they always, whenever they're doing something, always target our people though? They always target our people. Blacks, y'all need to go out and vote. Blacks, y'all need to go out and do this. Blacks, y'all need to go out and do that. Why is you always targeting us though? It's because they know. They know who we are.
That's right.
They know exactly who we are. Right? Go ahead.
And the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonor his head.
He said what?
Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonor his head.
So he's saying that whenever you transgress the order, right? Because Jesus couldn't go above God, right? We can't go above Jesus.
That's right.
Women can't go above the men. The children can't go above the mom. You see what I'm saying? Because that's the order. That's why the children, whenever anything happens, they always run to who? Because God put it in their spirit. See what I'm saying? Our enemy put us in captivity and beat, rape, rob, and murder us. Why? Because God put it in their spirit. See what I'm saying? It's just the way God did it. So now once you start to understand how God created things and do things, then you'll start to understand the way that the world operates. Because it always operates underneath the subjection of God. Always underneath the will of God, underneath the ordinance of God. There is no such thing as free will.
Oh.
Even though people think you can, but did anybody wake up and think in their mind, I'm gonna go and get in an accident today?
Bring it out, King.
Nobody would think that.
Oh.
Right? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get shot today. Right? I'm not gonna do that. So in saying that, right, that just goes to show you that there's no such thing as free will. Right? What? Go ahead.
But every woman that prayed or prophesied with her head uncovered, dishonor her head.
Right? So you dishonor whatever level is above you, it dishonors that head. Right? If you're going against the Bible, go ahead.
For that is even all one as if she were shaven.
Right? So if you ain't got your hair covered, then it's almost like as if you would shave your head. And your glory is your what? Your hair, right? So if you don't mind not having your hair covered, the Most High, like, well then, trying to shave your head all the way clean, and then, we'll go from there. Right? So it's just the order. That's all it is. The Most High just wants to establish his order. And when we come back to our heritage, it's just we do our order. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to be in subjection in the will of the Most High. Right? You got a precept? Yeah. Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Titus, chapter 2, verse 1. Titus 2 and 1.
Your hair covered. See the brother. Hey, but that's because we love our people, though.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? That's we love our people, and we all about the Bible. We fear the Most High. Right. We care because we know you could get a judgment. We teaching you, and then we transgressing. We up here with dresses on, telling you need to wear a dress. That's off, man. Right. We got to be under subjection. Right. Go ahead, King.
Titus 2 and 1. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged man be sober, grave, temperance, sound in faith and charity and patience. The aged woman, likewise, that they be in behavior as becoming holiness, not false accusers, not giving too much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young woman to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedience to their own husband, that the word of God be not blasphemed.
Be not blasphemy, right? So he's telling you, Titus, in the book of Titus, Paul's telling you that the way that a woman should be, right? That a woman should be all these things, right? She should be quiet. She should be a good keeper of home, right? She should be in subjection. But see, there's also something that a lot of brothers don't teach too, though. We also got to give y'all something to follow, though.
Bring it out, King.
We can't sit there and be like, oh, you need to listen and you need to be this. But then I'm doing all manner of wickedness, though.
Right.
I got to be grounded and rooted in this thing. I got to be under subject of the law. I got to be under subjection to Jesus, Yahweh Shai, right now that you know. right? We got to be doing all these things so that way when you see a godly man, then you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to follow that man because that man is in order.
Right.
Right? Go ahead, King.
Book Ephesians.
Go ahead. No, keep going.
Ephesians 5:28.
Go ahead.
So ought men to love their wives as their own body.
See? As your what?
As their own body.
Right? Because if I love you, right? Remember the curses, how it says we shall be evil toward, have an evil eye towards the wife of our bosom, right? So if I hate you, right? I mean, if I love you like my own body, am I gonna beat you? Right? If I love you as my own body, am I gonna commit adultery on you? Right? Am I gonna do any of these things? Am I gonna put you through a mental stress? Am I gonna want to see you broke down? No. So he said, love you as your own body. Go ahead. Excuse me.
So ought man to love their wives as their own bodies. He that love his wife, loveth himself.
What'd he say?
He that loveth his wife, love himself.
No, I'm gonna beat her down mentally and spiritually.
He that loveth his wife, loveth himself.
You see what I'm saying? So if I love my wife, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna love her like I love myself. Right? Go ahead, King.
For no man ever yet hated his own flesh.
What did he say?
For no man ever yet hated his own
I
flesh.
hate myself.
For no man ever yet hated his own flesh.
Go ahead.
But nourish it and cherish it, even as the Lord the church.
Right? And that's beautiful though, because if you love your wife like you love yourself, then we ain't gonna have all this high rate of divorce. We ain't gonna have no single parent families.
Bring it out.
We ain't gonna have none of these things in our community. And that's why if you don't know this right now, but our people are coming back to our nationality.
That's right.
By the hundreds and hundreds, man. It's
Right.
thousands of brothers and sisters that's coming back to their nationality, man. Right, as a nation. And this is the number one fear thing in the world. Because we can single-handedly break the prison system. The penal system will be broke down if we come back to the law, statutes, commandments.
That's right.
Because we're not going to murder our brother. Right? We're not going to have an evil eye towards our brother. We're not going to have a high rate of domestic violence. We're not going to have our children being raised up in single-parent families, man. That's right. If we come back to our law, statutes, commandments. Keep on going.
For we are the members of his body, of his flesh and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and his mother, shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh.
Shall be one flesh. Go ahead.
There is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church.
Go ahead.
Nevertheless, let every one of you in peculiar so love
In
his
particular?
wife. Yeah, particular. My fault.
No, you good. No, you good.
Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife.
So what?
So love his wife, even as himself, and the wife saying that she reverence her husband.
And the beautiful part about it, he said, so love his wife. Because what was the love? What was the love of God? Remember when we said keep the commandments? Right? So you don't even know what love is if you haven't began to keep the commandments. That's what God's telling you.
That's right.
Because see, can you send God an emoji? A blowing the kiss emoji, the heart and the eye emoji, the heart emoji. How about phone calls? Can you 1-800 collect the Most High and be like, hey, Most High, hey, you know, it's been a minute. I'm sorry I ain't called you in a while. How you doing, man? I know it get lonely on the throne up there sometimes. Can you do that? Right? Can you send God some flowers on Father's Day, so-called Father's Day? Give him a card. Tell him how much you missed him and loved him. It's been such a long time since the throne and you have, you know, kind of kindled that fire. Can you do that? So we can't do these things. So we show we love him through the action.
That's right.
Right? We show him we love him by keeping these commandments. Because we don't know like, okay, man, we keeping these fringes on. We don't know if this going to get us salvation. But we got faith.
Right.
That if we keep these little tassels with the ribbon of blue around there, throw on a hair wrap and a dress, right? Be in subjection to our husband.
Right.
We treat our wife as though we love ourselves.
That's right.
Man, he just might have mercy when that day of refreshing come. Right? We repent and convert. Right? Because that's how it all starts. Look at that. Look at the evil eye. You see that? That's the evil. That's the curse. That's the curse our people go through, man.
She just bought fast food. So
Come on, man. Because she transgressed the law.
That's right.
Right? So we're going to give you a couple more commandments. No, go ahead. We're going to give you a couple more commandments. Bring that out. Watch this. No,
It's
go
the
ahead,
book
bring yours
of-
out there. Go ahead.
It's the book of Judith, chapter 10, verse 18.
Go ahead.
Then was there a concourse throughout all the camp, for her coming was noised among the tents. And they came about her, as she stood without the tent of Holofernes,
Yep.
till they told him of her. And they wondered at her beauty, and admired the children of Israel because of her. And everyone said to his neighbor, who would despise this people that have among them such women? Surely it is not Surely it is not good that one man of them be left, who being let go might deceive the whole earth. And they that lay near Holofernes went out, and all his servants, and they brought her into the tent.
No, drop that. 5 and 20. 5 and 20. Right? No, you good. Go ahead. I knew it was in 5. I just didn't know exactly where. Go ahead.
This is the book of Judah, chapter 5, verse 20. Now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people.
Right, so if there's any error in our people, right, because there's for a long time have been error in our people. Right, there's been error because why? We didn't know that we had to keep the commandments.
Right.
We just thought that it was just an optional thing. Right, well, God, he gave us grace. Right, but if you ain't pay your rent on the first, right, they give you what? A period that's called a what? Right, so how long does that grace period normally last? 5 days, right? So does it last just like for kind of like ever? It doesn't do it. So that's the same thing that God gave us. He sent his son back to give us a grace period, right? And that's a period to get ourselves back on track, to come back to his ways, to the law, statutes, and commandments. And if we don't, then that's when we're going to get judged, the eternal fire, right? So that's what the grace is really for us to correct ourselves and to get ourselves back on track, right? Because he said if there's any error in their people, go ahead.
And they sin against their God.
And they do what?
And they sin against their God.
Do you know what sin is? What's sin? Doing something wrong? That's a good answer. There you go, sister. She in the spirit now. She in the spirit now. Because I don't think I've ever heard nobody know that. Right? That's exactly what it is, because everything comes back to this commandments. So that's why when people are like, oh, I pray for my sins, but then they're the same people that say the commandments are done away with. How can the commandments be done away with if sin is the transgression of the law? That makes no sense. In order for you to be in sin, you got to break the law. But if the law is done away with, then that means I can't sin. That means I can have sex with my brother's wife. That means I can kill my brother. I can have an evil eye towards my brother, and I ain't got to wear no tassels with the blue ribbon. Right? But because he said if there's any error in these people, go ahead.
Let us consider that this shall be their ruin.
That this should be their ruin, right? Because that's why we were ruined as a people.
That's right.
Because we didn't keep the commandments. So then we got our nationality, our heritage stripped from us. Then we in captivity. Now we ain't serving other gods. And then we upholding our enemy. We walking hand in hand with the same people that rape, robbed, and murdered our people and beat our back in from can't see sun up to can't see sun down, but all their children to watch a public burning while you were alive. That's wicked. Look at that. Look what happened to your forefathers. They burnt your forefathers while he was alive. But yeah, you're supposed to join hand in hand with him and sing Kumbaya. And be all right that he did that to your forefather. You got to be all right with him. I don't think so. Go ahead.
And let us go up, and we shall overcome them.
We should do what?
And we shall overcome them.
And they said if you got error, then they're going to overcome y'all. Did they overcome us? Yeah, it looked like they overcame us. Right? Go ahead.
But if there be no iniquity in their nation,
if there be no sin in their nation, right? Because now we're starting to come back to the law, statute, commandment.
Right.
Now we're starting to not have no sin in our nation. Right? Go ahead.
Let my Lord now pass by.
Right?
Lest their Lord defend them.
Lest they what?
Lest their Lord defend them.
Right, and if you notice now, there's a lot of famine in this earth. There's a lot of pestilence in this earth. Right now, there's a lot of no water, so there's droughts in this earth. I don't even know if you know, but you know where the Eisenhower Dam is? So the Eisenhower Dam is out there in like the Las Vegas area, right? So right now the water is so low. This is the actual dam that the Hoover the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam is the dam that actually powers Las Vegas. So could you imagine once this dam don't have enough water, because now they say they're at the lowest levels of water that they've ever been at. So once this dam cannot provide this power, what happens to Vegas? There's no electricity.
That's right.
Can you imagine Vegas dark? The city that don't sleep?
Right.
The city that they say, hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas?
Right? Sin City?
Not Sin City.
Sin City.
That's wicked, man. That's crazy, though. Just imagine. Sometime at a theater near you, Sin City's not going to have no more power.
That's right.
That's crazy, man. And that's how you know that the Most High is starting to judge this. Because now our God is not passing by us. Right? Keep going.
And their God be for them, and we become a reproach.
And we become a what?
And we become a reproach.
And a what?
Before all the world.
Before what?
Before all the world.
Right, because God is going to make them a reproach. You can drop that. Go ahead, get yours. And then give me 1 Kings chapter 6. And then Ezekiel 39 and 28 and 29. And then I know you're going to go. How are you feeling your spirit? Go ahead.
This is the book of, this is talking about our women.
Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Judith, chapter 10, and verse
Yeah, chapter
10.
8. I said 6.
10 verse 10 in Judith.
Come.
And when they had done so, Judith went out, she and her handmaids with her. And the man of the city looked at her until she was gone down the mountain, until she had passed the valley and could see her no more. Thus they went straight forth in the valley, and the first watch of the Assyrians met her, and took her and asked her of what people art thou?
What did he say?
What people art thou?
Go ahead.
Of what people art thou? Whence thou comest, and whither goest thou? And she said, I am a woman of the Hebrew.
He's a what?
I am the woman of the Hebrew.
No, I'm a nigga and a black.
I am the woman of the Hebrews.
Right, because see, back then our people knew who they were. Right? Go ahead, King.
I am the woman of the Hebrews, and fled from them, for they shall be given you to be consumed.
Go ahead.
And I am come before Holofernes,
Holofernes,
the chief captain of the armies, to declare words of truth, and I will show him a way whereby he shall go, and win all the hills countries without losing the body or life of any one of his men. Now when the man heard her words and beheld her countenance, they wondered greatly at her beauty.
They did what?
They wondered greatly at her beauty.
And this letting you know about all the other nations, though, because if you look at it, what are they promoting now? No, I'm talking about what is all these other nations promoting? Like, I'm going to say, you know what I'm saying, primarily the so-called white man. Like, what do you see when you look on TV and you look on movies? What do you see a lot of now that there wasn't a long time ago? Interracial relationships, right? Because other nations look at our women. If you look at the people on that sign, who women look better than our women?
Nobody.
So-called Cubans, Mexicans, Dominicans, the so-called Black Americans, right? The so-called Indian women, right? All our women are beautiful, man.
Right.
No women are more beautiful than our women.
Nobody.
So now all these other nations, the so-called whites, the Moab, which is the Chinese, you know what I'm saying, the Ammon, which is the Japanese, or it might be switched, right? All these other nations, they look at our women and they marvel at our women because our women are beautiful, man.
Right.
Who cook better than our people?
Right.
Who are more athletic than our people? That's how you know we're God's chosen people. Right, go ahead, King.
Now when the man heard her words and beheld her countenance,
They beheld her beauty, right? Her countenance, her face. Go ahead.
they wondered greatly at her beauty, and
at
said
her what?
at her beauty, and said unto her, Thou hast saved thy life.
He had what?
Thou hast saved thy life.
Go ahead.
And thou hast hasted to come down to presence of our Lord. Now therefore come to his tent, and so some of us shall conduct thee until they have delivered thee in his hands. Okay, I'm jumping down to 19. And they wondered at her beauty.
See, back at the beauty though. They just can't get past our women's beauty, man. Right? Go ahead.
and admired the children of Israel.
Admire who?
And admired the children of Israel.
Go ahead.
Because of her. And everyone said to his neighbor, who would despise this people?
Who would do what?
Who would despise this people?
Right, because they know, man. Like all the uppers, because if you go and you look it up, right now there's called Russian icons, right? See, they know who Jesus looked like. They got the real original pictures of Jesus, John the Baptist, Job, right? You got Jeremiah, you got Daniel, Isaiah, you got all the prophets, right? They got the real pictures over there in Russia, in the icons. So when they go and they start worshiping the Virgin Mary, the so-called Virgin Mary, and the so-called baby Jesus, wait, it's an image of a black man, a so-called black man.
That's right.
They know, the upper elites know what's going on. It's just us in the lower end of all the other nations, they don't know. But everybody that's the wicked that's running the earth, they know what's going on. They know who the Israelites are.
That's right.
Go ahead, King.
And they wonder at her beauty and admire the children of Israel because of her. And everyone said it to his neighbor, who would despise this people that have among them such women? Surely it is not good that one of them be left, who being let go might deceive the whole world.
See, and he's saying that to see the whole world, right? That's it on that?
Yeah, that's it.
Come on, right? And that's just letting you know about our people, that if our God be for us, you see what I'm saying? Because they know, the elite know our God is for us. But when we err, our God's not for us. Right? Go ahead, King.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 39, verse 28.
Go ahead.
Then shall they know that I am the Lord their God.
What'd he say?
Then shall they know that I am the Lord their God.
Right, so right now when God's waking us up, now we're starting to understand that he's the Lord our God. Right? Because hold that. Hey, give me Amos 3:1.
Bring it out,
Right?
King.
Give me Amos 3:1, because you got to understand that first, that he's not for everybody.
That's right.
Right.
Give me the book of Amos 3:1, King. Come on. Right? Right? Because you got to understand that he's not for everybody. Right?
It's the book of Amos.
Right? Because at the end of the day, man, the Most High is only dealing with one nation of people.
That's right.
Right? And it's the children of Israel, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Go ahead.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel.
Go ahead.
Against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt.
You know, that's captivity, right? Go ahead.
Saying, you only have I
He
known.
knows all the nations.
You only have I
He
known.
made everybody.
You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities.
So that's why we're getting punished, because of our sin, like any parent, right? So go ahead. Start at 28 again.
Verse 28. Then shall they know that I am the Lord their God, which caused them to be led into captivity.
No, they went and captured us.
Caused them to be led into captivity.
You know, blacks sold blacks into slavery, brother.
Which caused them to be led into captivity.
Go ahead.
Among the heathen.
Among the who?
Among the heathen.
They're all the same people.
Among the heathen.
Go ahead.
But I have gathered them unto their own land, and have left none of them any more there.
See, and that's what he was just saying, because he's not going to leave us no more, man. Go ahead, King.
Neither will I hide my face any more from them.
What did he say?
Neither will I hide my face any more from them.
'Cause that's why you see all these people, man, they coming back to their nationality, right?
That's right.
That brother, we've dealt with that brother. He know who he is.
That's right.
That's why he got the beard on his face, right? He knows who he is. I know. We done dealt with him. Go ahead.
For I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel.
What'd he say?
For I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel.
Why do all these people right here with fringes don't fear the Most High so much?
For I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, saith the Lord God.
Saith the who?
Saith the Lord
One of
God.
them crazy dudes with microphones.
Saith the Lord God.
Right, so now you got to come back to this, sister. This is the end all, the be all right here. This right here is going to let us know once you get back to that point, because you have to do this in order for you to come back to your nationality, right? Right. In order for you to get salvation, because I know you want eternal life, sister.
That's right.
I know you don't want this just to be it, sister. I know you don't want this to be it. I see it in your spirit, sis. You tired, man. I see you tired. This walk get tired. This earth get tired, man.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right.
you do the same thing over and over again. Every morning you get up
All right.
on Monday, you jump in the same hamster wheel. You go around that same hamster wheel. You get out at the same place on that same hamster wheel and go back home at that same time. You get up Tuesday and get back in that hamster wheel and go around. You copy, paste, And what is it? What is it? Something copy and paste. You something copy and paste. You do it the same thing every day. Every day. We did it too. And then repeated it over and over. Every day. It's got to be something else, man. It's got to be something else. And I see it in your spirit, sister, that you want that something else. You've been searching for the Most High, man.
That's right.
You've been going and doing your own will, and maybe, praying when you can. Been going to church when you can. Right? But that wasn't the way, man. Because there's over 1 million and some churches. We're talking 1 million and some pastors, 1 million and some deacons, 1 million and some clergymen, 1 million and some ushers, 1 million and some members. So if the Most High said 144,000 plus the elect, shouldn't that number have gotten filled by now?
Right.
If you got, in our community, if you got 3 to 4 churches on one block,
right,
everywhere you go in our community, at some point, shouldn't it be a change with our violence? Shouldn't it be some change in the way that we treat our marriages? Right. Shouldn't it be some change in the way that we doing things as a people?
Right.
But yet, generation after generation, the same thing happened, man. It has to be some point when our people got to wake up and realize that it's something we doing wrong as a people. So this is where this comes in at.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, verse 47. Yet if they shall bethink themselves.
No, start at verse
45.
40. Let's say 43.
Verse 43. Hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and do according to all that the.
You right. 45. Come on. I'm sorry.
Verse 45. Then hear thou in heaven their prayer.
Right, so he's saying once you get back to that point when you know who you are, which now you know that you're Israel, right? Then the Most High gonna now begin to hear your prayer in his dwelling place. Go ahead.
And their supplication, and maintain their cause.
And do what?
And maintain their cause.
Right, because now he said if there's no error in these people, go ahead.
If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives.
Right, and that's what happened right there. Right, he delivered us to the enemy, and he carried us away captives. What else happened?
Unto the land of the enemy.
Into the where?
Unto the land of the enemy.
Right, and this is the land of our enemy, right? Go ahead, King.
Far and near.
Go ahead.
Yet if they bethink themselves.
So you start to wonder, like, man, who am I, man? I want to know who I am because I know I'm not a crayon color, and I know I'm not the name of 2 Europeans, right? Go ahead, King.
And the land whither they were carried captives.
Right, and this is that land. Go ahead.
And repent.
And do what?
And repent.
And do what?
And repent.
Right, and repent and know what you're doing. When you find out you're doing wrong, you ask for forgiveness, and then you convert. You don't just keep sinning, and then that's it. No, once you find out what the sins is, which means you got to get in a book, you got to find out what the 613 commandments are.
Right.
And then once you find out what the 613 is, that's when you can understand that, okay, I can't do these things.
That's right.
Now I got to repent for the ones that I did break over the years.
That's right.
And then now I'm going to convert from that action.
That's right.
I got to convert from my ways. Right? And he said, and you bethink yourself, so you learn who you are and repent, and then go ahead.
And make supplication unto thee,
right,
in the land of them that carried them captives,
right?
Saying,
in America, right? Now you know you lay carried captive, and now you asking for all these things. Go ahead.
Saying, we have sinned.
We did what?
We have sinned.
Go ahead.
And have done perversely. We have committed wickedness.
What do we do?
We have committed wickedness.
Go ahead.
And so return unto thee with all their heart.
And the heart is just the mind, right? Because if you just say in your physical heart, what is the job of your physical heart? To do what? What does your physical heart do? No, I'm talking about what does your physical heart do in the body? Pump what? Pump blood, right? So if you think in your heart, how is you going to think in your heart? You can't think in your heart. So your heart is your mind. Go ahead.
And with all their soul.
And with all their soul, go ahead.
And the land of their enemies.
In the land of their what?
And the land of their enemies.
Go ahead.
Which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land.
So now you know which way you got to pray now. So now when you pray, it ain't getting on your knees and then putting your hands together. Like right now, you know step one. First, you got to point to the east. That's where Jerusalem is.
That's right.
So now you got to face the east when you start to pray. Go ahead. Let's see what else he tell you.
Pray toward their land which thou gavest unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name. Then hear their prayer and their supplication in heaven.
So once you do all that, once you bethink yourself, know who you are, right? Know your nation, your heritage, right? Then you start getting your commandments and you keeping your commandments. You repent from your ways. Then you start praying towards your homeland. Now the Most High is going to start hearing your prayers.
That's right.
Because before that, the Most High don't hear your prayers.
He don't.
He don't. Right? According to John 8:32.
That's right.
Right? God heareth not the prayers of sinners.
That's right.
Right? Go ahead.
They dwelling place and maintain their cause.
And now he's going to maintain your cause. Go ahead.
And forgive thy people.
Then he's going to forgive his people. Go ahead.
That have sinned against thee, and all their transgressions wherein they have transgressed against thee, and give them compassion before them who carried them a captive.
And that's so beautiful right there. That what he just said was so beautiful. Reread that part what you just said.
And Slocky, and give them compassion before them who carried them captive.
Right? He said, so then he's going to give us compassion in front of the people that carried us away captive, which is all these other nations. Because then they're going to be like, well, dang, you know what I'm saying? Didn't we say they wasn't nothing? They was the bottom.
Right.
Like, they was wicked, man. They was like, nothing. They was, you know, for lack of a better term, they was niggas.
Right.
Right? They was some dirty niggas. Man.
Right.
But now they're going to find out that we was the children of the Most High God.
That's right.
Right in front of their face, man.
That's right.
The Most High going to pretty much smash their face in the dirt. For a lack of better terms. Go
That's
ahead,
right.
King.
That they may have compassion on them, for they be thy people.
For what?
For they be thy people.
He said, for we be God's people. You found that out in Deuteronomy 7:6. We are above all people.
That's right.
Right? Go ahead, King.
And thy inheritance,
And our inheritance, go ahead.
which thou broughtest forth out of Egypt.
Where are you bringing forth?
Forth out of
He
Egypt.
brought everybody out of Egypt.
Broughtest forth out of Egypt.
Because he only brought one nation of people out of Egypt, and that was Israel.
Right.
So how can he love everybody when he only brought Egypt out of Israel? Right? Go ahead.
For they be, no, Salakia, from the midst of the furnace of iron,
Go ahead.
that thy eyes may be open unto
What he
the,
said, so they're what?
that thy eyes may be open unto the supplication of thy servant.
And you know, and that's beautiful because then God's eyes are going to be open to the supplication, right? Because I know you probably done read this Bible 1,000,000 times. You done read the Bible, different passages, right? Right? You've read the Bible before. Like, not all of it or something like that, but you've read different passages. How much understanding did you get? Not much, did you? I was a deacon in church from the 3rd grade up. Ask me how much understanding did I have of the Bible before I got open to the truth. Not much. So that's letting you know that it's a certain process that the Most High looks at when he starts to open up the Bible to you, right? It ain't just, you know, you read it, you pick it up, and the Most High just gonna give you that understanding. No, you got to start to keep commandments. You got to start doing different things, and then when you start doing them things, then he will give you the knowledge of the Bible. Go ahead, King.
And unto the supplication of thy people,
Go ahead.
Israel.
And their people who?
And unto the supplication of thy people, Israel.
Go ahead.
To hearken unto them in all that they call for unto thee. For thou didst separate them from among all the people of the earth. For thou didst separate them from among all the people of the earth.
And he said he separated us from all the people that was on the earth, man. That's mighty, man. He didn't make us to be equal to everybody.
Right.
He separated us. Go ahead.
To be thy inheritance, as thou speakest by the hand of Moses, thy servant, when thou broughtest our fathers out of Egypt, O Lord God. Verse 45, verse 54. And it was so that when Solomon had made an end of praying all this prayer,
Right, this the point right here. Go ahead.
and supplication unto the Lord,
And his what?
and the supplication unto the
Go
Lord,
ahead.
he arose from before the altar of the Lord,
What? How?
from kneeling,
From what?
from kneeling,
Doing what?
from
So
kneeling,
now you know the most important part too. So after you've faced to the east,
Right.
your homeland,
right?
right? Now you know that you got to do what as you're praying? You got to get on your knees, right? Now what else you got to do?
From kneeling on his knees with his hands spread up,
No, I got to have my hands together.
with his hands spread
I
up,
need the praying hands, brother.
with his hands spread up
Now you got to have your hands out too, right? Go ahead.
to heaven.
To heaven. So those are the ways you pray. Now you know what garments you got, and we got to get you food. That's the last one. We got to give her Deuteronomy 11. Leviticus 11 and 7. We got to give you the dietary, because that's the last important thing. Because you know now the dress code, right? So what do you got to wear? Recap. You got to wear fringes. What kind of? No, yeah, blue ribbon and any color fringe. But what else do you got to have on? That's key for women. Skirts or dress, right? All praises, sister. And when you pray, what do you got to have on your head? Look up. A head covering, yep. All praises, sister.
Praises.
All praises.
Give it up for
Get
the
that
sister.
sister around,
Give it up for the sister.
Hey, sisters, y'all got to, hey, sisters. Hey, sisters. Hey, sisters. Hey, get a sister around. She's answering the questions correctly.
That's right.
Y'all got to pay attention. Y'all got to support y'all sister,
That's
man.
right.
Right? Go ahead.
This is the book of Leviticus.
Wait a minute. Before you do that, right? So you got all that stuff, right? So you got to do that. So then, what else is it? And then you got to be in subjection to your husband if you got a husband.
Right.
You got to reach out to your sisters, right? So when you get done, go, you know what I'm saying? Sisters, y'all get her number.
Right.
Y'all get her number.
Right.
And y'all call her, then y'all give her y'all number.
Right.
So she can reach out, because, you know what I'm saying, that's also one of our requirements, is we're supposed to check up on each other. We're supposed to call each other. We're supposed to love on each other, because this walk is a hard, lonely walk, man. You know what I'm saying? Because once you start getting back to your heritage, people are like, "Are you crazy? Are you a fool?"
That's right.
Right? Because I lost a lot of my family, man. You know what I'm saying? But the Most High said, "Who is your brother? Who is your mother?" He said, "The same one that follows my father's laws," paraphrasing.
That's right.
Right? So that's what it is, man. I went all the way to Washington, D.C. to find out that my brother lived in a city. Call me out. You know what I'm saying? That's Rise Israel.
Right.
So, but that's how the Most High do, though.
That's right.
Right? I ain't known none of these brothers long.
That's
I
right.
known these brothers like a year. But yet these brothers right here is more than me and my family. My real so-called biological.
That's right.
I call these brothers up, man. These brothers will be there for me, man.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm in a different camp, sister. I'm
Come on.
and these soldiers of Yahweh, right? But we come together in unity. I speak to that brother twice a week.
That's right.
Come.
All praises.
Come.
All praises.
Right? Right? And that's all praises, right? Because it doesn't matter what the t-shirts say.
That's right.
Right? If we all following our Father's ways, then if you don't, then that's going back to that black on black crime. What's the difference between whether I'm following the laws or not if I'm still having hate towards my brother? That's a law. Leviticus 19 and 17. Right? So go ahead and bring that out, King. Whichever one, it don't matter.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 11, verse 7. And the swine.
And the what?
And the swine.
You know what the swine is, sister? Pork.
All praises. All praises. All praises.
All praises. Go ahead, sis. Come on up here, sis. I see you over there listening. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead, bro.
Though he divide the hoof and be clove-footed.
Right? He looks and has the appearance of a clean animal. You look at that mug like, dang, you do look like the other white meat. But let's see what the Most High feel about this thing.
Yet he cheweth not the cud.
That means he don't digest his food properly. Go ahead, King.
He is unclean to you.
What did he say?
He is unclean to you.
He's the other white meat.
He is unclean to you.
He said he's unclean to the Israelites. It doesn't matter what all the other nations do.
That's right.
The other nations can eat what they want to eat, man.
That's right.
They eat rat, bat, shrimp, lobster, crab. They can do whatever they want to do, man. But the Most High said the swine is unclean to the Israelites. Go ahead, King.
Of their flesh ye shall not eat.
How unclean are they?
Of their flesh ye shall not eat.
How much unclean are they than that?
Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch.
So they so unclean that the Most High said that the Israelites can't even touch their carcass. That's crazy, ain't it?
Man, deep.
But he said we are set apart people.
That's deep.
He said we so set apart that it's certain animals that I made I don't even want y'all to touch.
Right?
That's one of them. Go ahead.
They are unclean to you. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters.
So now he's going to go into the waters of the foods that we can eat.
Bring it out.
Whatsoever has fins and scales.
What did he say?
Whatsoever has fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, in the rivers, then shall ye eat.
Right? So what can you name that does not have fins nor scales in the water? Crab. That's one. Go ahead, sis. You on the roll. Look at her. She in the spirit.
Uh-oh. Okay. All praises.
Wait, look at her. Look at her.
All
She in the
praises.
spirit. What else? What else?
Oh, man.
Hey, she in the spirit, man.
Yeah.
What else? What else? See if you got any more. Right? What about mussels, clams, right? Squid,
Right.
oysters,
Right.
right? Hey, what about catfish? Nope, because they got
Yeah.
fins,
Uh-huh.
but they ain't got scales. They
That's
got
right.
like a skin on them.
That's right.
Right?
That's
Because see,
right.
all these things, so the other day, I think it was the 21st of September, right? It was 250 Tassani, I think it's Tassoni, tsunami whales beached themselves, right?
Yeah.
In Australia.
That's deep.
So you got to think about it. Why would a whale beach themselves and they're gonna die? Well, if you went into Food Lion, right? Let's just say the owners of Food Lion said, I'm gonna take all the cleaning company away from Food Lion for about, let's just give it a modest time of about 3 or 4 months. How do you think the appearance of Food Lion would be on the inside if they did not clean anything for 3 to 4 months? Nasty, right? So how would you think the ocean would look if we take all the lobster, crab, shrimp, lobster, and mussels and all them things, which are actually quintessentially the cleaning company of the sea?
That's right.
How do you think the sea would look? Nasty, right? And that's what's happening. We dumping all this trash, we're dumping all these shredded bottles and all these things, dumping all these chemicals in the ocean. And then we're also eating the abominable bottom feeders, which is the cleaning, the filtration system. And then now whales are like, look, I would rather be dead out there than alive in here.
That's right. That's right.
250 whales. 250 whales, man. Can you look that up real quick to show her? 250 whales beached themselves in Australia. It's crazy, man. Can you imagine the strength of 250 whales beached on Australia? And they said half of them died. So you got 125 whales just dead on the ocean, on your coastline. That's crazy, man. But keep reading on that.
Verse 10, and all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, all of them that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
What did he say?
They shall be an abomination unto you.
You already know, we read about the abominations. God hateth all abominations, right? Go ahead.
They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whosoever has no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you.
He said it like 3 or 4 times, man. Like he letting you know, man. Like we got to understand that he really means these commandments, right? That there are things that are abomination unto him, which means he hates it, right? So we got to understand that. And then it's the last one on getting together with each other. Go ahead.
It's the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16. Then they that feared the Lord.
What did he say?
Then they that feared the Lord.
What's fear? What's the fear of the Lord? There you go, man. Keeping the commandments, right? All praises, man. Then they that fear the Lord, go ahead.
Spake often one to another.
What did he say?
Spake often one to another.
Every now and then.
Spake often one to another.
Go ahead.
And the Lord hearkened.
He listened. Go ahead.
And heard it.
And heard it. Go ahead.
And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord.
For them that what?
For them that feared the Lord.
Go ahead.
And that thought upon his name. And
keep going.
And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts.
He said they what?
And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts.
Go ahead. And that's the Lord of hosts. Just means the Lord of armies. Host is armies. Right? Go ahead.
In that day, when I make up my jewels,
right?
And I will spare them.
And he said what?
And I will spare them.
Because then when you start to keep these commandments, right? And everything that he says within these commandments, then he gonna spare you, man, because you fear him. Right? But if you don't fear him, he gonna destroy you. Right? Go ahead.
As a man spareth his own son.
What did he say?
As a man spareth his own son.
Because you got a son, right? I saw you a son. You got a son, right? And you will do whatever it took to spare your son. Right, so he said you listen to his words, just like if your son listen to your words, right, then you're going to spare him, right? Go ahead.
That serveth him.
Go ahead.
Then shall ye return.
Then he said what?
Then shall ye return.
Right, so when you start to do all these commandments, right, all the stuff that we've been reading all day, praying righteously, right, repenting, changing from your ways, but think yourself, come back to your heritage, right, obey the words of the Most High, because it ain't us that's saying it, it's the Most High that's saying it.
That's right.
Right, because we coming from his word, right? Because If you went to church, you would have never heard this many scriptures come out. Right? It ain't our words. We ain't saying what we saying.
Right.
We reading all of it out of the book.
That's right.
Right?
That's
Keep going.
Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked.
What'd he say?
And discern between the righteous and the wicked.
I already know who wicked and who righteous.
And discern between the righteous and the wicked.
Right? Because if you're not keeping the law, statutes, commandments, something's going to be real. In the eyes of the Most High, you're wicked.
That's right.
It ain't about walking Granny across the street, helping Granny load up her groceries from the cart to the trunk,
Getting the cat out of the tree.
getting the cat out of the tree, right? Maybe even giving some money to the homeless. That's not the determination on if you're wicked or righteous.
That's
man.
right.
The Most High don't care about them things. All he cares about is if you keeping the law, statutes, commandments.
That's right.
Because the law, within the law, statutes, commandments, then the law, statutes, commandments tell me that I got to help my brother and my sister out. Right? If my brother need help financially, I got to help him. Right? If my brother needs somewhere to eat or stay, I got to help him.
That's right.
Right? Not to have an evil eye towards my brother. Not to sleep with my brother. The law tells me all of that. So within doing the law, you're going to do all them things. Right? Go ahead.
And discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not.
What'd he say?
Between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not.
And that's the wicked and the righteous. So if somebody serve God, which is keeping the laws, statutes, commandments, then they're a righteous people.
That's right.
If you don't, then you wicked and evil.
That's right.
And it ain't no other way of putting it, man.
No other way around it.
Right? So do you have any other questions, sis? Right? So, you know what I'm saying? Hey, sisters, make sure y'all exchange numbers with the sister. You know what I'm saying? And stay in contact, sis. You know what I'm saying? If you want any questions.